There's plenty that goes into the cocktail of what makes Monster Hunter so pleasant. The visuals of the environments, the design of the creatures, and even just the feel of the controls. For today, however, we're going to close our eyes, lie back, and just listen a bit. What's up, lads, chads, and soon-to-be dads? I'm Symmetry, and it may shock you to hear that I actually do have other hobbies outside of turning digital monsters into gloves. For any of you who may have seen me on my Twitter, you'll know that I occasionally post videos of me being a stunningly average guitarist, with music being one of my other passions. And I thought to myself, you know what? Why not combine these two with a little Monster Hunter musical lesson? The theme for today's video comes from a word with Germanic roots, and that is Leitmotif. In the context of music, a Leitmotif is a phrase or melody that is associated with a particular theme or character, and surprise surprise, Monster Hunter has its fair share. So let's take a good look at some of them, starting with a bit of a newer comparison. We'll side note for a second here and just say how we're going to be tackling the different comparisons today. First of all, I'll play the original melody, and then when it appears as a paraphrase or said leitmotif in the other track. Our starting theme, the Defense of Celiana, which plays during your Battle Quarters style showdown with Velkhana in the story, appropriately combines the melodies from the flagship theme of Iceborne and the flagship monster, Velkhana. So first, let's take a look at the Velkhana melodies in question, and compare it to the Celiana defense. How about that then? Pretty neat, right? Later on in that track, you can also hear a more bombastic version of the main Iceborne theme, Succession of Light. Whilst this title track has a more subtle, lonesome feel to the melody, when danger arrives at the front door of our new home, the brass comes out. In my opinion, this is a perfectly designed theme comparison. The marching rhythm of the Velkhana tease combined with a familiar yet urgent main title theme really encapsulates the encounter. You're near base, yet this new threat that you still haven't properly taken down yet is staring you dead in the face. With this first comparison, I hope that you can now see the idea of a leitmotif, the same sort of melody in a different context or with a different inflection or key to keep a central theme. So let's move on to the next one, and this took me a hell of a while to figure out. The giant serpent Dalamadur, first appearing in Monster Hunter 4, is appropriately the final high-rank online enemy that you'll face in the game, and the music for its second theme echoes a tune that you will have actually heard many times on your journey towards this quest. The track in question? None other than the Quest Clear theme. That's correct. The music that is triumphant by its sheer existence lends its likeness to this sky-splitting snake's fight. Pretty neat. We'll stay around the old world for this next one, and I think it's something that many people may be familiar with. Chaotic Gore Magala is the monster theme in question, and fittingly for a variant that is stuck halfway between Gore and Shigaru, the melody for each form makes an appearance. First we hear the juvenile, and then Shigaru's. This one is more widely known, of course, but it's wonderful to see the same sort of love being put into the music as the design. Still with me? Good. Let's keep this circus on the road. We'll go now for something out of left field, with a comparison between mainline and good old Frontier. Frontier introduced a burst species of Tigrex with a G-Genuine update, complete with its own theme. This monster, known colloquially as Tigrex, used the thunder element, and featured a wonderful 7/4 tune. Fittingly, it borrowed this melody from its quadrupedal cousin. In all honesty, you should just go check out the Frontier G soundtrack regardless, there's some absolute gems on there. Moving on, now up to this point we've been comparing two tracks to each other. However, the third generation of this franchise, we received a shared leitmotif between two monsters and the games that introduced them. To One with Life, the main theme for Monster Hunter Tri is a wonderful soaring orchestral number, and I'm sure that the mere sound of those opening notes is enough to trigger 10 types of nostalgia in a vast majority of you. The main melody is echoed in two themes introduced in both the base game and the G expansions, themes for a classic tyrant and a much missed world ender. I'm talking of course about Devil Joe and Dire Morales. Morales' implementation really reminds me a lot of some of the better tracks from Shadow of the Colossus, and Joe is just straight up evil. Considering Joe didn't unlock his own quests until you defeated Elatrion of all things in Tri, it really makes a lot of sense that they would attribute the main game theme to this dude. We're almost done, fellas, I promise. Two final comparisons from the most recent installments, both continuing this theme of final fights. Bloodbath Diablos from Double Cross has an interesting callback, not exactly based on the game's theme, but rather the main area that you first fight it in. The area in question is the second generation's desert, and the leitmotif heard enters the fray during this deviant's last stand. Man, I'd love to fight that guy one day. Okay, to cap it all off, celebrating the transition from World into Iceborne, the 5th Fleet were presented with the apocalyptic Arch-Tempered Nergigante. The flagship of Capcom's largest game blasted into the Elder's Recess with its own unique theme, a first for these types of quests. Fittingly, much like the 3rd generation threats mentioned earlier, AT Nerg's theme recalled the main theme of World, named Stars at Our Backs. Theming, leitmotifs, using music to call back to emotions and experiences that you may not even realise that you're recalling. Now that's what I like. What did you think then? Expect any of these, or are we just pointing out the obvious here? Are there some I've missed? Let me know. I'll see you all next time, hope you enjoyed that, and I'll try not to take too long with the next video. Later.